Standing emergency. Standing emergency.
My mom and Daddy are having a fight.
Is he hitting her?
Stop it! He just knocked my sister out.
What sister that he knocked out?
My little sister.
You're doing...
Oh my God!
What's the matter?
Nothing happened! Nothing.
Child abuse and neglect is something that no one wants to think about, no one wants to happen, but the reality is it's happening every single day. Even in a place like Fairfax County, which is one of the wealthiest areas in the United States and full of resources and full of highly educated people, we at Fairfax CASA serve over 400 children every single year who are at a point where the court has had to get involved in that family. The CASA model, the program, was started in 1977 by a judge in Seattle who realized that, he's making these life-altering decisions for the children and the families on his caseload, and he just felt that he didn't have adequate and sufficient information to be making these decisions. So he came up with this pilot program where he trained ordinary people to become the voice and the advocate for a child in the system. And the CASA program was born. The Fairfax CASA program was started in 1989 by the Honorable Judge Jane Delbridge.
You got the feeling that if there were somebody else in there that again, didn't have an agenda other than what was in the child's best interest, then you would hear more and more information would get to the judge and you'd be making better decisions.
A CASA volunteer is the one steady, consistent person in the life of an abused and neglected child.
The role of the CASA is actually pretty simple. I always say it's to be an observer on the case and to be a voice for the child that they're assigned to. And so they do that by creating relationships with all of the different service providers assigned to the case, gathering information in an objective way, and providing that information to the court through court reports. They review every child's school record, report cards. They communicate with counselors and principals and teachers. They observe visitation between the families and let the court know if the parents were engaged and appropriate.
At first it may seem a little overwhelming, but the good thing is that the supervisor is always there to walk you through each step.
I call her for the littlest things, I call her for the most important things. There's a very specific way that a court report is written. The supervisor will provide a template, so you're not kind of starting from scratch.
They're a really dedicated group of people, and the volunteers would tell you that they never feel like they're in this alone. They never feel like they're left out there and don't know what to do.
She gives me feedback, she supports me, she gives me tips, she respects my time, and I know she appreciates me.
The CASA community, the volunteers, they really have become a small little family that have bonded and become friends and supports to one another.
Everybody is kind of doing this for the same reasons or similar reasons, and it is something that we share together.
It's wonderful to see a group of like-minded individuals who have such passion and are so dedicated to the kids we serve, really enjoy each other and get to know each other and grow and learn from each other.
Well, I just have felt for a very long time that CASA has done as much for me as I have done for it, and I think its value flows both ways.
A CASA volunteer, in my opinion, is the most professional volunteer program that I have ever seen, and I've spent my whole life in this field.
If I had the opportunity to talk to a prospective volunteer today, I would tell them that they are about to embark on something that is life-changing. But it's hard, it's tough.
You have to understand that these kids are sometimes traumatized by the event that happened to them. And sometimes they don't want to talk to you at all. And sometimes they want to yell at you. And sometimes they just want to cry and you just have to be there for that.
The kids on the Fairfax CASA caseload are children who have been physically abused, sexually abused, neglected. Their parents are struggling with drug addiction, alcohol addiction, and mental health issues that make it difficult for them to adequately care for and parent their children. We always say that the CASA volunteers are the promise keepers, and by that we mean that they are going to show up when they're supposed to show up. They're going to be there when they're supposed to be there. And they're going to be on that case from the very beginning to the very end, meaning that the end is when a child finds permanency, safety, and a secure placement.
As a citizen of Fairfax County, I think we have a responsibility to do what we can for the abused and neglected children that are in our community. I don't know what you can do that could be more important than trying to save a child.